Welcome. From time to time in this space, we talk about players. One player who came to mind is Philo Wallace. Do you remember Philo Wallace, the Bajan? I saw Philo Wallace. Yeah, I saw him as a youngster. But Philo Wallace, should I say, was one of the most disappointed opening batsmen to ever play for the West Indies. Philo Wallace should go on. After that, Desmond Haynes, Greenwich, it was Philo Wallace and maybe someone else. But Philo didn't carry on. Didn't. He didn't maximize his potential at all. And it didn't help the West Indies. We're looking today at Philo Wallace. And I'm going to tell you a story. I saw him. Philo Wallace. Thank you, welcome. We still remembering our beloved Jamaica. Thank you again for the support, Caribbean people. I'm under the weather a little bit, but now I have to talk about Philo Wallace. You see, Philo Wallace was one of my favorite players. Yes, yes, man, the Bajan Philo Wallace. So let me tell you a story how I saw Philo Wallace. So I was a youngster. Um, you know, I was a youngster. They usually have this cup, the Red Stripe Cup, if I can remember its name, where the teams, it was a 50 over, yeah, and the teams would come to Jamaica to play. The final would be at Kaiser in Jamaica or Fenton Backside in Discovery Bay, Jamaica. Fenton, my parish, where I'm from. I live up the road, not far away. So as a youngster, I would save my money, take a taxi, and go down to Kaiser. It was a big thing. Big thing. I mean, at that time, all the players who was playing for the West Indies would be in their team. No one would be on tour. They would be in their team and they would be there. So if it was Jamaica versus Barbados, the Chris Gale would be there, the Wavell, like whosoever, they would be there. Philo Wallace. There was a Barbados was in the final, and I remember Philo Wallace. Philo Wallace, if you know him, was a bulky person, if I can describe him that way. Philo was an opening batsman. Yes, and I never forgot. Philo was very explosive, very explosive. And I'll be honest to you, I like explosive players. That is why Chris Gale is one of my players. I could call Ricardo Powell. I like explosive player, going for it, going for the shot. And that was Philo Wallace. And I remember that match. I can't remember if Barbados win or the last, but he did make some runs in that game. But I want to look at Philo Wallace on the international stage. Yes, the Philo Wallace did not carry on. You know, he did not carry on. He came into the West Indies team in 1997 to 98. And he managed 13 runs in a test against Pakistan. I believe that was his debut. Back in the day in West Indies, if you played ODIs, no T20 was there about. And if you play ODI, you would play test match cricket. But Philo to me wasn't a test match cricketer. As a matter of fact, I believe that if Philo was around now in T20, maybe he would be a very good T20 player. In 1988-89, he made 198 runs in 2 tests against South Africa. But to me, again, in 89-99, he had a wretched tour of South Africa, scoring 68 runs in 4 tests. For me, to people, Philo wasn't a test player. Philo Wallace was not a player, and I can say that. That is what I believe. And you hear the record, it's very terrible in test. Um, in one day, he played 10 ODIs. I'm talking about the West Indies now. In the early 90s, and another 23 at the end of it, at the end of the decade, right? And he didn't do too well also in ODIs. He scored 103 of 102 ball against South Africa 1998. Yeah, but what I'm saying, his record is not impressive for the West Indies. Maybe more for Barbados. But Philo Wallace should have contributed more to West Indies cricket. And I don't want to say it, but I think one of the worst opening pair the West Indies have ever seen is Philo Wallace and Clayton Lambert. You remember Lambert? I tell you, it was terrible. It was terrible to watch. Yes, but let's look at his record for the West Indies. He played 7 tests, innings 30, not out 0 time, runs 279. Let's go again. He played 7 tests and his total runs was 279. Highest score of 92, average of 21.46. ODIs for the West Indies, I'm talking 33, innings 33, not out 0 time, run 701, IS 103, average 21.24. First class, playing for Barbados now. He played 107 matches. Innings 191, not out 7 times, runs 6,670, high score of 142, average 36.25. So, basically, what this is telling you is that Philo was dominant at the first class level. Playing for his country was dominant. And no doubt, if you are dominant at the first class level, you're going to get a shot at the West Indies. But it didn't work out. It didn't work out at all for Philo. Trust me, it didn't work out. You hear the stats. And so, remembering Philo Wallace, a good person. I believe he's involved in cricket in Barbados. But Philo didn't go on at all. Philo, good guy, didn't need any controversy or anything, if I can remember. But what can I say? This is one of the failure of West Indies cricket. All of them. We have many. We have so many batsmen who have came through and failed. So many bowlers who have came through and failed. Philo Wallace is one of them. One of the failures. Tell me what you think. Have you ever seen Philo Wallace bat? A floating batsman, I can tell you. Very powerful. But this is from time to time we come and do this. We fill the space. West Indies versus New Zealand versus West Indies the 1st December. That's that next Monday. Alright, take care. We'll talk, man. Have a good day. Beja, how you doing? How you feel all is there? We'll talk.